Only 4 characters in all of Tolkien's Legendarium ever returned from the halls of Mandos. Gandalf, Beren and Luthien, the other was Glorfindel, an elf so powerful that the Nazgul fled from him in terror, an elf who killed a Balrog with his bare hands, and an elf that Peter Jackson completely removed from the story. Long before the ring, before Sauron forged even the first whispers of his power, there stood a hidden city of light, Gondolin. I covered this in a recent video, so please go and check that out if you want to know more about Gondolin. But among its greatest defenders was Glorfindel, Lord of the House of the Golden Flower. When Morgoth's armies finally found the city, Gondolin didn't fall quietly. Balrog stormed the walls, dragons tore through the streets, and the sky itself turned to fire. In the chaos, Glorfindel did what he always did. He ran towards the danger. He fought through flames and shadow to protect the survivors escaping into the mountains. But one Balrog followed them. On a narrow cliffside pass, high above the ravine of Cirith Thorunath, Glorfindel faced the demon alone. No armor of Gondolin could have withstood such a foe, but Glorfindel didn't hesitate. Elf Lord against Fire Demon, light against shadow. Their duel was brutal. Tolkien writes that Glorfindel's golden hair shone like a torch against the Balrog's darkness. Neither yielded, and in the end, Glorfindel struck the killing blow. But victory came at a cost. With its last strength, the Balrog dragged him from the cliff, and both fell into the abyss below. His sacrifice saved the line of Eärendil, the same line that would one day bring Sauron to ruin. But Glorfindel's story didn't end at the bottom of that ravine, because death, for him, was only the beginning. When Glorfindel fell into the abyss, his body died, but his spirit did not fade. It passed to the halls of Mandos, as all elves do. But unlike most, he did not remain there for long. The Valar judged Glorfindel's sacrifice at Gondolin not simply brave, but world-shaping. By saving the line of Eärendil, he ensured the path to Morgoth's eventual downfall. And so, in a decision made only twice in all of Tolkien's Legendarium, they gave him back his life. Glorfindel was re-embodied in Valinor, but not merely restored. The Valar returned him purified, strengthened, and filled with a radiant spiritual power that set him apart from nearly every other elf in Middle-earth. When he walked again, Glorfindel was no longer just the lord of a fallen house. He was a being of light, a presence that could be felt as much as it could be seen. And Middle-earth would need that light, for in the Second Age, new shadows were rising. Sauron was gathering power, the Nazgul had emerged, 9 ancient kings twisted into deathless servants. And so, Glorfindel returned across the sea, not in secret, not in exile, but as a shining bulwark against a darkness that the world did not yet understand. It was during this age that Glorfindel made one of the most important prophecies in Tolkien's entire mythology, a prophecy about the Witch King of Angmar, and the doom that would one day find him. Centuries passed. The Second Age fell into darkness, kingdoms rose and crumbled, the Third Age rose, and in the cold northern wastes, a new terror emerged. The Witch King of Angmar. His armies devastated Arnor, cities burned, royal lines failed. The last High King of the North died beneath his shadow. But when the Witch King reached the final stronghold of the Dunedain, Glorfindel rode with the elves of Rivendell to meet him. Their clash was not a duel of blades, but a collision of powers. The Witch King, greatest of the Nazgul, had broken kingdoms. Yet, when he faced Glorfindel, he did something he almost never did. He fled. Tolkien describes Glorfindel in this age as radiant, a being whose spiritual light shone so fiercely that no ringwraith could endure it. His very presence burned them like sunlight breaking through a storm. As the Witch King vanished into the shadows, the men of Arnor urged Glorfindel to pursue him and end this terror forever. But Glorfindel refused. And here, on the battlefield of Fornost, he spoke the words that would echo across 1,000 years. Far off yet is his doom, and not by the hand of man will he fall. A prophecy that would shape the fate of the War of the Ring, and one that the Witch King himself would come to believe. When he later mocked Theoden King with the cry, "No living man may hinder me," he was repeating Glorfindel, and he was repeating it wrong. When the War of the Ring finally had begun, Glorfindel was no distant legend. He was in Rivendell, one of Elrond's most trusted captains, and one of the first to learn that Frodo carried the One Ring. And when the Nazgul rode out to hunt the hobbits, Glorfindel didn't hesitate. He went straight onto the road, searching for them with the speed that few elves could match. In the book, he is the one who finds Aragorn and the hobbits. He is the one who gives Frodo his horse, and he is the one who stands between the ring-bearer and the Nine. But here's the part most viewers never knew. Frodo sees Glorfindel as a figure of white fire. When Frodo begins to slip into the Wraith world, Glorfindel appears not as an elf, but as a blazing, radiant being, one whose spiritual presence shines brighter than the shadows of the Nine combined. Tolkien writes that the Nazgul wavered when Glorfindel advanced. Wavered. The Ringwraiths, creatures who shrug off armies, fell back in fear of him. This is why he places Frodo on Asphalot and sends the horse racing ahead, because Glorfindel's power buys just enough time for the ring-bearer to reach the Bruinen. And when the Nine attempt to cross the river, it is Glorfindel who advances on them like a burning star, driving them into the flood that destroys their horses and sends their spirits shrieking back to Mordor. In the movies, this moment is given to Arwen, and while the scene is iconic on its own, Tolkien intended something very different. Frodo was meant to be saved by one of the most powerful elves left in Middle-earth, a Balrog slayer, one reborn, one whose light alone could turn the Nazgul away. Leaving him out didn't just remove a character, it removed one of the last echoes of the First Age still walking in the Third. So, why was Glorfindel erased from the films? The simplest reason is also the most practical. Peter Jackson needed to streamline the story. The early part of the Fellowship of the Ring already introduces dozens of characters. Frodo, Gandalf, Bilbo, Sam, Saruman, Nazgul, Aragorn, Elrond, Arwen, and for mainstream audiences, adding another elf lord with a dense First Age backstory kind of just risked overwhelming the pace. And Arwen, who has relatively little page time in the books, needed a stronger emotional presence in the film. Giving her Glorfindel's role was a way to foreground her connection to Aragorn and the fate of the world. From a filmmaking perspective, it does make sense, but from a lore perspective, it really meant something was lost. Glorfindel isn't just another elf. He's not Legolas or Haldir or one of the nameless guards of Rivendell. He is one of the last living memories of that First Age, a warrior who fought in a city of light before Numenor was even founded, a Balrog slayer reborn, a beacon of the ancient power that is fading from Middle-earth. His presence in the narrative is a reminder that the War of the Ring is not an isolated conflict. It is the final act in a drama that began thousands and thousands of years earlier, in the days when God still openly walked in the world. When Glorfindel strides onto the page, Tolkien is showing us that Middle-earth once was brighter, deeper, and so much closer to the divine. But then you take that away, and that connection weakens. You lose the sense that Frodo is not just being helped by friends, he is being carried by the last surviving threads of an age long gone. And that is really why Glorfindel matters. Not just because he killed a Balrog, not just because he returned from the halls of Mandos, but because he is one of the few characters who truly bridges the ages, a living echo of the world before the world. And in Tolkien's Middle-earth, echoes have power. And so, there we have it. Glorfindel's story stretches from the glory of Gondolin to the final years of the Third Age, a lifespan no other character truly matches. He died saving the ancestors of heroes, he returned to guide their descendants, and when the shadows rose again, he stood as one of the last reminders of the world before the world, the age of gods and fire, and of course Balrogs. Even if the movies erased him, well, Tolkien never did, and in the pages of Middle-earth, Glorfindel's light never faded, not in life, not in death, and not in the memories of the readers. But now it is your turn. I'd love to hear from all of you. Do you think Glorfindel should have been included within the Fellowship of the Ring? Do you think he should have volunteered? Or would his light have been too bright and too much of a giveaway to their hidden plan? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. And along with that, if you would like to support the channel in other ways, please consider our Patreon. It would really help us out in that up and down world of YouTube. But with that, thank you for spending just some of your time with me today, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.